So today is a sad day. I have to turn off art.world, which is a project I was working on since February 2015 as the lead software developer for this version. There were previous versions, but I was hired by art.world to firstly do some data analysis, then write an admin tool for the data, and then to rewrite the whole front end. And yeah, well, nothing, I suppose, not everything works out, and yeah, so okay, that's the end of Art.world. Just wanted to show you a little bit of Art.world before it goes offline. I mean, the first thing to know is the cool domain. This isn't .com. I mean, it sounds cool, but then when they printed the stickers, they had to say art.world brackets not .com because no one understood it. Everyone was typing art.world.com, I suppose. But from a nerdy perspective, it's a cool domain, at least that. So when you go to the website, you've got a few cities basically, and the whole website is about finding art exhibitions to go to. So it's not about buying art or selling art, it's about going to and experiencing the art. So firstly you choose a city, or you can search for a city, and then you can see the shows that are currently on this city, and you can make various changes, filters and so on, but at the end of the day you can look at the events and you can look at the artists in this event, you can look at the gallery where the event is shown. The three main objects are the art events, and then the venues, and then the artists. So here we're looking at a venue, and you can see the shows that are on in this venue, past shows, and so on and so forth. One small little nerdy point is that in the URL space, you've got cities and you've got artists. So two different objects had to share the same space. So when I assign the URL name for artists or cities, I have to make sure that the URL name isn't used not only in that object, but also the other object, which has interesting concurrency issues and locking and so on and so forth. Right, so that's it really, from the user's perspective. But what you can do if you are an artist and you see, okay, I am on this website, if you click that, then your user account becomes associated with this artist. You have to verify your email address and certain other things, and then you can edit this artist yourself. And the same with venues. And then there's the admin tool, which was the thing that I was originally hired to do. And the thing about the admin tool is that it works. You've got the main objects here, the venues, the art events, and the people involved in the events. And you've got the logins, who are the people who have signed up. And so one nice thing I have to say, this was not my idea, is that these screens basically look the same, they just pertain to different events, but each screen has a color. And this means that if you're really the admin, you're working with this all day and you click around, you have a very strong idea of which tab you're on based on the color, which is an interesting idea, I think. So for example, here the art events, the only way to navigate this basically is via search. So we've got 200,000 events, and we can search for things, and you can see that not only things are found, but they're also highlighted, and firstly they're sorted by the relevance, but you can also click on the headings to sort. And the search is not only the fields that you see, but also kind of related fields, and the yellow highlights the thing that you found. The thing that perhaps isn't entirely obvious is that here we're highlighting the found text, whereas here we're highlighting the entire field. It seems natural, I hope it's natural, but the way this is highlighted and the way this is highlighted aren't actually exactly the same in terms of the way they developed. And you can do prefix matches, and you you see that this is very relevant because it's found in more than one field. You can search for only one field if you like, in which case you just see the highlighting. The highlighting is the thing that is found, so I mean, so yeah, it's highlighting the things that is found and not. If I click on here, we go over to the active screen. You can see there's also a Smith, but you can see our back button works. Not the case with every web app. You can see that it's not highlighted here because although it matches, it doesn't match actually this filter that you've done. So one nice thing you can do, you can see, okay, this is probably the same person, basically, or the same event. So one nice thing you can do is you can say, okay, if you want to merge, you say this is the same thing. I mean, this isn't the same thing because they've got different dates. But if you said, okay, this is probably the same event, you can, if you want to delete something, you just click on the X, and then there's the delete button at the bottom. Another nice thing you can do is merge, which is, you know, if the data comes in and we've got multiple items which are basically the same, let's say we decide that all these three things are the same, we can click on them and click on this one again, and it becomes green, which means if I click on merge, these will all become one object. And there are certain fields, like the name, where there can be only one winner, i.e. if these have different names, then the resulting merged object has the name of the green one. But there are certain other things like the actors, the artists, and the artists and the curators involved, they'll be merged. So if you've got one artist here and a different artist here, then the resulting object has both the artists. So internally there's like a list of fields. So each of these tabs here, venues, events, actors, logins, has a repository class, and all the fields of the database object, like the name, okay, you can't have multiple names for an object, so if you merge two objects into one, then the name of the green row survives. But the referencing tables, the tables such as the child tables, there you can take over the green ones, or you can merge them, or whatever you want. For example, if a user is subscribed to either event, they should be subscribed to the resulting event. So there's various different strategies you can have here. For example, member of distinct set referencing table, and here you see the code to do that. So we've got these various different various different strategies you can use, and for each referencing table you can use one of these strategies. Okay, so one other thing you can do is not only merge things, but suggest stuff to merge. So here you've got 200,000 events, here you've got 33,000 events, still a few. If you did a Cartesian match from every object to every other object and determine if they should be merged, that would take a while, but that's what I do. But thanks to indexes and stuff, this is not Lucene, this is just Postgres. We find things which have the same name, same postal address, and various other things. I can't remember exactly how this works. I mean, it used to look a bit more beautiful. These buttons used to be horizontal, but anyway, it was quite an effort to get this work fast enough. So basically, you go down, you say no, you know, do not want to merge this, or yeah, I do want to merge this, and this should be the winner, and then you do this for all the things it suggests, and then you click process, in which case it does all of that, and then also draws the next screen for you to process. So it shows, I don't know, 20 suggestions or something like that. You can say, for example, is claimed, because when you have a venue, you can say, yeah, I own that as a user, and then you can claim it. So certain events can be marked as not yet finished, in which case they have errors. So you can say has errors, yes, for example. And then you see, okay, it's not very clear, unfortunately, but you can see this, you can see a yellow bit around this. And that shows you that, well, that's like highlighted, like an icon, but it's highlighted just the same, just like a text would be, because it's the reason why you found the things that you found. Yeah, that's it really. That's the admin tool. I think the admin tool took me like brilliant. I don't know how that got there. I think the admin tool took me, I don't know, a month to write, I suppose. And yeah, the rest of the website that took a lot longer because of the obviously user-facing, so interaction with the web designer and the requirements engineers and so on. Yeah, anyway, so that's good. It all works. So a bit of a shame to turn it off, really. We haven't done that much development in the last year. There was an iPhone app, I shouldn't forget. And I put this in for David, because this will annoy David. So I had this development team outsourced. And so one of the things I wanted to learn with this project is how is it to work with an outsourced development team? And the thing I learned really, the thing I learned was don't save money. Don't go for like, the $5 per hour person. It doesn't matter. The important point is that you get the software done, working correctly with not too much stress. So that's, you'd rather pay, I don't know, a $20 an hour person for X hours than pay a $10 an hour person for like 10 times that length of time. It's still cheaper and also better. And more maintainable if you have good people. So the point about outsourcing for me was that most of the good software developers in Vienna, they already have jobs really, so I can't really hire them. And I certainly can't hire like 5 people. So for me, it's about getting access to more people, really. And so we used Upwork, which was reasonably successful. So I was reviewing every time someone did a commit. My rule was, shout out to Steve, who told me this rule. For every day, everyone has to do a commit. And then I review that commit and I reject stuff that's not good for some reason. So yeah, you've really got to know what your team's working on. You don't want someone to go like 1 month without committing and you're like, yeah, yes, sir, everything will be finished tomorrow. And you have no idea if that's true or not. And you also want to make sure they're going in the right direction because, okay, anyone who's new, they don't know your technology stack or maybe some weird details. Maybe they don't know the requirements fully yet. I mean, you try and explain to them, but maybe there's misunderstanding. So that can happen to anyone, but also you want to determine, are they a fool or not? So yeah. So what I found was that, I mean, in general, I'm not a big fan of interviews because what can you tell from an interview? You ask the guy, are you good at software? And he replies, well, yes. So, I mean, that doesn't tell you anything, A bad guy's going to reply yes and a good guy's going to reply yes. So really, you've got to give people like trial periods, you've got to be quite explicit and say, okay, look, man, 1 month, you're going to work and, if it doesn't work out, then expect that might not work out. So I think we hired 5 people, and of them, basically 1 was extremely good, 1 was mediocre, so that's actually not good enough, and 3 were obviously terrible. So you might think, well, that's a long process to go through, but the result was we had 1 guy who was excellent, understood everything, great English communication skills, code was clean, code did what it should, it worked functionally, it was fast. So, I mean, that's quite a good state to be in, so it might be a high cost to get to that state, but at least we did get into that state. So, and that guy I think was $20 an hour or something. So, and he basically had time full time. So that was pretty powerful situation to be in. So I've digressed a little bit, but yeah, basically we had this, we did an iPhone app. I wasn't so involved in this, but I asked this guy, this outsource guy, okay, so, how do you think you would do the API the API server in Java? I mean, you can select a technology and recommend it to me, and I will decide if it's allowed or not. My intention was to allow it basically, unless he says something ridiculous, But what he did actually wasn't so bad. What he did was it's just a servlet. I'm saying this to annoy David, basically shout out to David. The API servlet is just a servlet, and it does things like, okay, extract certain information, retrieve the login, and so on and so forth. And then it just does, a big if statement, basically. And for example, you want to here we've got the version differentiation. You want to follow an actor, then I just go into that method there, and you see, okay, the guy's going to be logged in to follow an actor, and then we just do it really. We create the record, commit, and I don't know. This code's really simple. I mean, you might think, well, okay, you can't possibly do an API server without a big framework, but I don't know. This is simpler than a big framework, and He did, I don't know how many methods, maybe 10, 15 methods. He did it all in a week. I mean, he created it. And that's not so bad. Right. Okay, well, that's that, really. So that's art.world. Now I'm going to go and, take it offline and burn all the data to a DVD as requested by the customer. So, hope you enjoyed watching, and speak to you next time.